Thanks so much, Derek. It's another wild day on Wall Street.
As President Donald Trump makes a major announcement about his sweeping tariff plan. Karen Kafa's live in Washington with a look at what these market swings mean for everyone. Karen.
Yeah, Tony and Tina, a really wild swing in the markets this afternoon, just about the time that President Trump announced he would be pausing most of those reciprocal tariffs that went into effect overnight for 90 days. Now, these big leaps and losses over the last week have certainly been something to watch, even if your household doesn't have major investments, because of what they can mean for consumer prices and even for jobs.
President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff plan has unleashed turmoil in the stock market.
If you're like me, I am first generation in the stock market. So to see these type of drops is heartbreaking and very scary. And we need to acknowledge that and say, it's okay that you're scared.
When investors believe in a company's ability to deliver on the goods and services they've promised and consumer demand for them, that company's stock often becomes more desirable and pushes a company's value higher. Losses across the 30 diverse companies that compose the closely watched Dow, from Apple to McDonald's to Walmart, mean investors are anxious about what broad tariffs and a global trade war mean for the future.
The longer this lasts, the more of an economic drag it is, with uncertainty both by the consumer, investor, and certainly people that run companies. And the longer that lasts, the more real economic damage we're doing.
When a company's stock goes down, they can eventually be challenged to make decisions about infrastructure, like hiring and the number of people they can continue to employ. They may also hike prices to cover costs, which can also squeeze consumers. And for those lamenting retirement losses as the market has turned down, experts say it's important to look forward, not back, and stay on top of that money.
What's really important to you always, whether you're taking a loss or not, is what will do well ahead.
And a few things for consumers to note about today's announcement. That baseline 10% tariff on just about all goods coming into the U.S. that took effect over the weekend, that is still in place. And also the 90-day pause announced by President Trump does not include China. In fact, the president raised tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the United States again. The White House says negotiations with other countries will continue. They say more than 75 have reached out so far. Tony and Tina?
All right. Well, how about those negotiations? What are those at the White House saying about the tariffs and negotiating them, and how did this maybe impact the president's decision to pause some of those tariffs?
Well, the president himself said that he had been looking at tariffs and the idea of pausing them over the last few days or so. He said this afternoon, Tony, that it was less about what he was seeing in the stock market, a little bit more about what he was seeing in the bond market. And he believed that people were getting a little bit yippy and queasy, as he described it. We also heard from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent this afternoon, who said this was part of the plan all along, to get countries to come to the table to engage in these kinds of negotiations. Of course, a major trading partner and a major economy does not really seem willing to come to the table for negotiations, and that, of course, is China. They say the tariffs that President Trump has implemented are mistake on top of mistake. So right now, you've kind of got the two world's largest economies locked in this trade war. We'll see what it means for American consumers, Tony.
Yeah, everybody's watching. It's all people can talk about. Karen Kafa reporting live for us. Thank you. And get ready to